Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Books with Nate. And today I have a review for you of the second book in the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio, The Howling Dark. This is a first-person narrative revolving around Hadrian Marlowe, who's sort of the outcast son of a lord set in this far distant future, where humans have essentially spread across the cosmos, and they've come into contact with this alien race, the Cielcin, and there's been a war going on for several hundred years. And Hadrian himself is recounting his tales, I guess you could say, of how he became the Sun Eater and how he, essentially destroyed a lot. So that's all in the first few pages of the first book, Empire of Silence. So I'm not spoiling anything there. But yeah, it's just him recounting his tales, and this is the second book. This has blown up all over social media because of Daniel Green's review, and I think it deserves that kind of attention. This is a non-spoiler and spoiler review, so non-spoilers will be first, spoilers later on. So without further ado, let's get into it. So like I said before, this is a first-person narrative revolving around Hadrian Marlowe, the outcast son of a lord of the Salon, I don't know, Salon Empire, and this is sort of takes place about 10,000 to 20,000 years in the future, I believe, somewhere in that range. Humans have spread across the universe, or the galaxy, I guess, rather, and yeah, there's been this ongoing war with this alien race, and in this book, Hadrian has sort of formed his own band of mercenaries called the Red Company in service to the Empire, and is trying to make peace with the Cielcin, which has never been really attempted before or succeeded before. And so that's kind of the backdrop of what's going on in this book. Oh, and he's also trying to find the undying Carnsegara, I believe. Carnsegara, and which is sort of this mythical dude on this mythical planet called Vorgosos. And yeah, so that's what's happening. And just some personal context with this book and the series so far, Empire of Silence was a bit of a mixed bag for me. I enjoyed the world building. I enjoyed sort of how it had its own takes on something like Dune, for example. But quite frankly, I found Hadrian to be quite an annoying character. I didn't really like him, and the writing felt a little iffy at times. But I was still invested in it enough to keep going. So with Hadrian, we see a bit of a brash, overconfident, sort of lost noble in the first book, and in the first half of the second book. He is trying too much at times, I think. I think he's being a little bit too judgmental. There's kind of this religious order, essentially called the Chantry, that is against sort of human modifications of technology and stuff, with using technology and stuff like that. And he comes into contact with those people. They're called extrasolarians, or no, they're called something, and he just comes off a bit like an ass, and I just didn't really like that. But you see him grow in this book a bit from that, so I won't go into too much detail on that. But yeah, I just think at first he's a character who grows, and he's a character who learns, and who quite frankly goes through quite a lot in this book. So I think in terms of character work with the main character, the person telling the story, I think it was a pretty good job on Christopher Rocchio's part. And then also some of the side characters grew a bit, and certainly Hadrian's interactions with them, I thought were well written, and I think they challenged him in some ways, and just kind of contributed to the overall growth of the character. The world building, again, I think, the galaxy building, I guess you could say, was pretty well done. You get to explore some new worlds. They kind of jump around sometimes. I didn't really get to fully explore some places, but I think in terms of the narrative, it worked. And in the plot, you see just all different walks of life. Not really aliens necessarily, but just sort of how humans have developed, um, 15 to 20,000 years from now. And I think that was really interesting, and it just kind of helps give you an idea of like somebody who's been sort of closeted, or rather they've been, shielded from the outside world, kind of interacting with those aspects of life, whether it be human interaction or just sort of a personal, emotional interaction with the outside world. So I think about halfway through this book, it really picked up for me because I think it took a different turn. And I would say if Empire Silence wasn't for you, I would understand, but I'd also say if you liked it enough to keep going, give this second book a go too, because, like I said before, the first half was kind of iffy for me, but the second half I think really took a good turn and just really cemented my interest in the series because I just started reading the third book, Demon in White, and I honestly couldn't set this book down for about a week. I just kept going at it. So, yeah, I really recommend this series. I think world building is interesting. Character work gets better. Hadrian's character I'm now invested in. I think he's not a perfect character. He's not like a inherently like somebody I'd want to have a beer with, but I think he's an interesting enough character to keep me invested in this series, absolutely. So in terms of a overall review of this book, I would give this book probably like a 4-ish out of 5, 4.25 out of 5. I think the second half, again, really picked it up for me, but first half was eh. But I will definitely be continuing this series. Now, to move on to spoilers, I just want to talk about a few of the major plot points that happened versus maybe going into themes or something. But yeah, I just want to start with Hadrian and him getting his head chopped off. That was kind of crazy. Him interacting with not the others, it's something else, but this sort of spiritual force in the galaxy. I think that, I don't know, I'm having a hard time with that because it felt a bit like a cop-out almost, but maybe I just missed something in that first half that I didn't really enjoy too much. But overall, I think how Hadrian came back from that, I'm interested to see the repercussions of that, like emotionally. You start to see that a bit at the end of this book. I just think that's obviously a very difficult thing to go through, to die and to come back. There's another book that I don't remember off the top of my head because I'm reading so much right now where that happens. Just seeing how that happens in other books, like Reaper's Gale, that's the book, or in Malazan, I should say. It's really well done. So I just want to see if he explores that some more, like emotionally from a character's perspective. He's starting to do it a little bit, but I just want to see more of that. And then also him trying to make peace with the Cielsen. It was really well done, the sort of, headbutting on language, which I think is really interesting. And, sometimes people don't explore too much in books when it's coming between, negotiations between two different cultures. Different words mean different things. There might not be a direct translation because most of the time it's just like, oh, I have a translator. Oh, perfect. Now we can understand each other perfectly. But, that's not always the case, especially when you're interacting with a completely alien race with a completely different set of, cultural standards, and how society works. Things just might not be one for one. I feel like my head's going at a million miles a minute right now, but yeah, there was also just how messed up that human was from the Cielsen being the translator. I couldn't read half of that. Bassander Lin was an interesting character, being this soldier who got kind of screwed over by Hadrian and watches men die from Hadrian's hand. Uh, I think he's an interesting character in that, he's a soldier who has his own personal feelings, but he doesn't always let it get in the way. Yeah, I just found his sort of narrative and his motivations interesting. And then seeing, the Cielson destroy the little army that was on Burgosos, or that ship, that was a pretty intense read, and really felt like there was no hope, which I think he did a good job of writing. And then Khan Zagar himself, I thought he was really well done. His sort of kind of being this like undying person or machination or thing. And when he said like, he took time between talking, I thought that was really interesting and well done. And then Hadrian interacting with the sort of what are the Maracanii, I think, the sort of AI learned machines who took over the universe at one point. I think his interaction with him, sort of seeing his future, again, that's something that I like about this series so far, is the sort of, it is science fantasy, and I think Christopher Rocchio said that himself, and that's something I'm still kind of starting to learn more about and lean more into, like with Dune, for example. But I think this was a little bit more digestible than Dune. I really like Dune, but I just think this is a little bit more, just direct. I think that was really interesting. And then, that interaction with the painted man at the beginning, seeing his friend killed, I think that was, just quite sad. There's a billion things I can mention, but overall, I just really liked this book. It is a massive improvement on Empire Silence, I think. I just really enjoyed Hadrian's character more, what he went through, and just seeing his growth, because somebody who dies and comes back, that's a pretty big character moment. So I just want to see how he deals with that emotionally, and mentally. So I think I would recommend this book. I'd recommend this series. Again, I know a lot of people love this series a lot, and rightfully so. I think people should, but just give it a chance if you're not sure about it either. I think this series will definitely be in my TBR for the next year. Like I said, I started Demon in White, the third book, right away. So I like it. So that's it from me today. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you want. And I will have more videos coming to you soon. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon.